Rajasthan marching along towards their target of 190, getting to almost 100 in the first 10 overs. The one problem for them is the two wickets they've lost. It's not just two against the wickets column, it's two big wickets. Those of Captain Sanju Samson and their destroyer, the man who scores runs for fun, Jos Buttler, the orange cap holder. Will that make a huge difference in the end? It just might, although there's another name on that score sheet that hasn't been seen much this season. Yashasvi Jaiswal, 37 not out of 26 and looking good to try and take Rajasthan home. He's done it in the past. Can he do it again for them? Here on Cricbuzz Comm Box, what does that do to the run chase? We saw a run chase yesterday that looked a foregone conclusion, as I'm joined by Lisa Sthalekar. Not too dissimilar to where Gujarat were. Looking good, match pretty much done and dusted. It's just about going to the finish line. They didn't. Could that happen to Rajasthan?
Potentially it could. But the fact that they've got two left-handers, Padikkal and Yashasvi Jaiswal, means that Chahar is almost kind of taken out of the equation. So it's almost like Liam Livingstone is going to be the key spinner, taking the ball away from the left-handers. If he can break this partnership, then maybe Chahar comes into it and the spinners get to squeeze, which is what we saw Rajasthan do in the first innings.
That's potentially what could happen. Let's have a look at how they've used their bowlers so far. Have Mayank Agarwal and company. Sandeep Sharma started off the very first over. He's in fact coming in to bowl his last over, which is the 11th of the innings. So they want to use him throughout, or use him out rather. Rabada's got 2 to go. Ashdeep's got those 3 at the back, which we know are going to be critical. And Lisa, as you said, it's about dividing the spinners in the right way, and a nice bonus wicket for Rashid Dhawan.
Yeah, and maybe Rashid Dhawan is the one just to kind of economically hold things back, and then Livingston, they can bowl in partnership. So there is a bit of juggling around, and you'll probably see Mayank Agarwal really hold off Chahar until as late as he possibly can to get his overs through. I mean, they've used 6, so they've got that ability. They're not relying on him to potentially bowl his 4, but if there's a breakthrough, things may change. But at the moment, Rajasthan, who the only other time that they've chased, they lost that game, they're actually producing the strike rate that's required to keep up with what Punjab were. And if they keep going the way they are, they should comfortably chase this down. But we've seen the game change on its head regularly.
I think, Lisa, you mentioned both those factors. One was I alluded to what happened yesterday, and 2 was the fact that they just haven't done so. Is that something that can get to you mentally, no matter what stalwarts you might have in the dugout or what kind of calmness you might have? If you haven't done it so far in the tournament, it has to get to you. You're not a Sunrisers who are a chasing type of team. So it is something they have to do differently.
Yeah, it's something different, isn't it? And whilst, players are experienced enough and have played domestically or internationally abroad and been able to chase, they as a group haven't been able to click only that one opportunity. And I think the Rajasthan coaching support staff would be quite happy that they're being put in this situation, and Buttler not necessarily being the one that has scored the bulk of the runs. It's someone else like Yashasvi Jaiswal who has been able to step up. So there's some good signs for them, but for them moving forth into the competition and potentially chasing at the back end of the tournament, they've got to figure out a way, and this is the perfect platform for them to do it.
Well, they will have to take a leaf out of Punjab's book. At the end of our show, we did assess the fact that Punjab, without Livingston, without Shikhar Dhawan, without Mayank Agarwal, managed to get the runs with some new personnel. Rajasthan will have to do the same. Who's coming up next? Remember the rather effective, the rather flamboyant Shimron Hetmeyer yet to come. That's going to be key. Riyan Parag shown that he can be a match winner on his own. And of course, there's no doubting the batting abilities of Ravichandran Ashwin. Having said that, it's basically the flamboyance of Hetmeyer to come, another left-hander.
Yeah, correct. And that's going to really concern Punjab as well, because that's not exactly the matchup that Chahar wants when he's got the ball in hand. So he's going to have to figure out, and maybe it's potentially swapping ends, maybe dangling a carrot for 1 over with the short side and seeing if they can pick up a wicket. They'll bowl a lot of wrong ends. Do something a little bit out of the box, because at the moment they look like they are cruising.
Yeah, they look like they're cruising. So you probably answered my next question as we wrap up here on Cricbuzz Comm Box. You're still leaning towards that. So the balance is, in terms of runs and the mathematics, they're looking good, but just mentally they haven't done it before. But you're still leaning towards the numbers, Lisa?
Yeah, still leaning towards Rajasthan. I think these two will go okay, and they've still got a couple of big hitters still to come.
All right, there you have it. Lisa thinks that's the way it's going to go. A run chase, a routine run chase. But if you just look back 24 hours, you could see it might just end up being something very different. Will there be drama? Whatever happens, we will assess it for you when we come back to look back at this game, to look ahead at the next. 10 past 7 is when we come back. Don't miss that crossover show. There'll be plenty to talk about there. Until then, that's all we have on Cricbuzz Comm Box.